Today, our topic is demand. Demand, the word demand is very common and familiar with every one of us. The need for precise definition arises simply because it is sometimes confused with other words such as desire, such as wish, want, etc. A desire, demand is a desire to possess a good supported by willingness and ability to pay for it. It means demand is equal to desire plus purchasing power plus willingness to spend the money. It means that demand is basically a desire to make desire as a demand have need of two things. First, ability to pay for it means purchasing power. And second one, that is necessary to make a desire as a demand is willingness to spend the money. For example, I want to purchase a mobile and that is my desire to possess a mobile iPhone. But I have no purchasing power. It's mean I have no money and it's mean that it is only a desire, not a demand. And on the other side, if we have the money, I can purchase the iPhone mobile, but I have no willingness to spend the money. I don't want to spend the money. So it is also called a desire, not a demand. To make a desire as a demand, there is need of money and willingness to spend the money. When we say that a demand is backed by, supported by purchasing power and willingness, then it is called effective demand. Demand means effective demand. So we can say demand in economics means a desire to possess a good supported by willingness and ability to pay for it. Demand is an effective desire. Demand is an effective demand or demand is an effective desire. And Professor Hebden described that demand means various quantities, various quantities of good that will be purchased per period of time at different prices in a given market. So, it is clear from the definition of Professor Hebden that demand is always related with the price with the time period. These both are very necessary to make a desire as a demand. Here we describe the characteristics of demand. Now we look at what is the characteristic of demand. So the characteristics of demand are three in numbers. Number one is willingness and ability to pay. Demand is the amount of commodity for which a consumer has the willingness and also the ability to pay for it. Ability to pay for it means purchasing power or money. Number two, demand is always at price. It's mean demand is nothing without the reference of price. It is meaningless if we don't describe the price. The consumer must know both the price and the commodity. He will then be able to bill the quantity demanded by him. Now, number three, that is, demand is always related with the per period of time. It is also important to describe the time period for the demand. The time period may be a day, a week, a month, or a year. For example, when the milk is selling at the rate of 200 rupees per liter, the demand of a buyer for milk is 5 liters a day. If we don't mention the period of time, nobody can guess as to how much milk is consumed. It is just possible when we may consuming 5 liters of milk a week or a day or a month, etc. We can say that by demand is meant the amount of commodity that buyer are able and willing to purchase at any given prices over some given period of time. Demand is described as schedule of how much a goods people will purchase at any price during a specific period of time. So, from by this statement, it is clear that without mentioning the price of commodity and the time period, demand is meaningless. Demand have no meaning, no worth without price and time period. Now we move towards the law of demand. What is law of demand? Law of demand actually describe the inverse relation between demand and price. And the quantity demanded have negatively related with the price. If price move towards the increase and demand lead toward the decrease. Now we move here from the statement of to the statement of law of demand. Other things remaining the same, the quantity demanded of any commodity increases with every fall in the price and decreases with every rise in the price. It's mean that demand and price are interrelated but negatively. The law of demand states that people will buy more at lower prices and buy less at higher prices. Other thing remaining the same. In simple language, we can say that when the prices of a commodity rises, people buy less of that commodity, and when the prices fall, people buy more of it. Ceteris paribus. Or we can say that the quantity demanded varies inversely with its price. There is no doubt that demand responds to price in the inverse direction, but it has got no uniform relation between them. It means there is no specific increase or decrease between price and demand. It means that, for example, price increases by 50% and demand may be decreased 50%, may be increased 50%, 40%, 10%, 5%. So there is no uniform increase or decrease among both. The functional relationship between the quantity demanded and the price of the commodity can be expressed in simple mathematically language as under. To describe the law and explain it, here we use a table. With the help of table, we can easily understand the functional relation of demand and price. Law of demand actually describes the functional relation between price and quantity demand, which is easily understandable with the help of this table. Here we make a table in which we have two columns. First column will describe the price and second column which describe the quantity demanded. The table show the different amount of demands with the different prices, price level. Here, if the price of a commodity, for example, the commodity is sugar. If the price of a sugar is 100 rupees per kg, then the quantity demanded is 100 kg. For example, it is the 10 demand of 10 families. If the price increases from the 100 to 150 rupees, then with the increase in prices, it will adversely affect the demand and demand will decrease from 1000 to 750 kgs. And if more prices increases from 150 to 200, then the quantity demanded of sugar will more decrease from 750 kg to 500 kg, and so on. With the more increase in prices from 200 rupees per kg to increases from 200 per kg to 250 rupees per kg. And with this increase, the quantity demanded of sugar will more decrease from 500 to 350 kg. And with the increase from 250 rupees per kg to 300 rupees per kg of sugar, then its demand will more decrease from 350 kg to 200 kg. Now from this table, it is clear that with the increase in price, demand will be decreased. But a thing which is considerable is that there is no uniform increase or decrease in price and demand. Here only 50 rupees increases and demand decreases up to 250 kgs. And with the only 50 rupees increases, the demand is more then also decreases from 250 kgs. But here with the increase in 50 rupees and demand decreases now here 150 kgs. It means no specific increase or decrease. It means that the rate of changes in price and the rate of changes in demand is not equal or uniform. It may be the demand quantity demanded can be changed differently from the change in price, or it may be equal to the changes in price. Now here we have already make a graph for understanding of demand. Graph which show this functional relationship of quantity demanded and price. Graph which is which show the changes in demand due to changes in price. Here we draw a horizontal line which is called x-axis and a vertical line which is called y-axis. Here at the x-axis we take the quantity demanded and on the y-axis we take the price. Now here we observe the changes in quantity demanded due to changes in price. When the price of sugar is 300 rupees per kg, then quantity demand is 200 kgs of 10 family for example. And when the price decreases from 300 to 200, then demand increases from 200 to 400. And with this combination, the combination of 200 and 300, we make a point that is called A point, which is the combination of quantity demanded and price at this point. And with the decrease in price, demand increases from 200 to 400 and we make a point which is called point B 250 rupees. 250 price at the 250 price the demand is 400 kg and we draw line at the point of B. Now prices decreases more from 250 to 200 and then demand increases from 400 to 500 kg. And with the combination of price and demand, Here we make a point which is called C. And when prices more down from 200 to 150, then demand more increases from 500 to 600, and so on. Here the demand curve is negatively sloped, which show the opposite relation among quantity demanded and price. With the decrease in price, demand will increase. If there will be increase in the price, then demand will be decrease. It will lead backward to the opposite sides. In the above graph, price is shown on y-axis. Here the price is treated as an independent variable. It means that the changes in price is independent. It is not affected by other factors. It's changed independently without the influence of any other factor. But the quantity demanded, which is shown on the x-axis, which show that quantity demand is a dependent variable. It's depend upon the price. Its changes occur due to the changes in price. Its changes depend upon the changes in price. If prices increases, then prices affect demand negatively and demand will be decreased. The cause in decrease in demand is due to increase in price, and the cause in increase in demand is due to the decrease in price. It's mean demand totally depend upon the price in the law of demand. Law of demand actually show this mathematically equations describe the functional relation between demand and other factors affecting the demand. These factors also called the determinants of demand. Here the quantity demanded of x is equal to function of px m p naught t f and so on. Quantity demanded of x mean the demand of good x is dependent on price of x. It's mean the price of any commodity is more important factor which determine the quantity of any commodity. F mean functions of independent variables contained within the parenthesis. Function relation with the price of x, which we have already studied in law of demand. Law of demand only discuss the functional relation between demand and price. Other factors remain the same. Now M mean money income of consumer or money income of the household. P naught prices of related goods. Related goods mean the prices of substitute or prices of complementary goods, or it may be prices of unrelated goods. T mean the test of household or consumer. F fashions, fashion of the consumer, and so on. Weather, W, or climate conditions, or wealth distribution or taxes, etc. etc. Now we discuss all these one by one. These are also called assumption of the law. What is assumption? Assumption means something we assume that they remain constant or same. The thing which we assumed will not be changed are called assumptions. Assumptions of the law of demand. In this, we will study, we will discuss about the assumption of the law. Assumption of law which is started from income of the consumer. The income of consumer remain constant or remain the same. This means that there should be no change in the income of consumer because when the income of consumer increases, it will increase the quantity demand for the that product or versa. It's mean if we want to prove the law of demand, then we assume the income of consumer have no change. It remain constant. Now we move toward the second assumption, which is habit and fashion of the consumer. Here we assume that habits and fashion of consumer remain same. It will not change. The law of demand will be valid only if the taste and fashion of consumer remain constant. Because if there is any change in the taste of the consumer, so it will ultimately bring a change in the quantity demand irrespective of any change in price. So in that case, law of demand will not be valid. For proving law of valid, we assume that habit and fashion of consumer remain constant or same. Now number 3, population. Here we assume that the population remain constant. It will not increase. The validity of law of demand, population or the number of buyers should also be taken constant. Irrespective of any change in the prices of products. As the number of buyers increases for a particular commodity, the quantity demanded will increase, irrespective of any change in the prices of product. For example, if there are 10 households in an area and their collective demand for sugar is 200 kg at a specific price of 150 rupees per kg. Now, if the number of households increases to 20, then ultimately the demand for sugar will increase to 5 or 600 kg at the same price of 150 rupees per kg. This increase in demand is because of an increase in the number of buyers rather than a price change. Hence, the law of demand will not be valid here. For validity of law, we here assume that population remain same. Now we move toward the 4 points. 4 points which is related with the prices of related goods. Here related goods mean two types of goods. Number X substitute, number 2 complement goods. Substitute goods are those that can be consumed in place of others, while complement goods are those goods that are consumed together. Substitute goods, the price of substitute goods must not change. For example, consider petrol and CNG as substitute good for a local van. Now, if the price of petrol increases, so the demand for CNG will start increasing without any change in the prices of CNG. And number 2, complement goods. Similarly, the prices of complementary goods must also not change. For example, consider petrol and car are complementary goods. Petrol is complementary for cars. Now, if the prices of petrol decreases, so it will increase its quantity demanded, hence leading to an increase in the demand for cars, irrespective to change in the prices of cars itself. Number 5. No change in expected prices. For validity of this law, the future expected prices must also be constant. That remain the same. The future expected prices must also be same if there is a rumor in the country that the prices of sugar will increase in a few days. So consumer demand increases at the current price of sugar. So to keep the law of demand valid, the future expected prices must not change. Number 6. No change in weather or climate condition. If a change, then the law of demand will not be valid. The effect of weather should also be taken constant. A favorable weather condition for a commodity will increase quantity demand for that product, while an unfavorable condition for a commodity will decrease quantity demand for that product, irrespective of the price of a commodity. So, we here assume that there is no change in weather. Number 7. No change in political economics condition. For the validity of the law of demand, there also must be no change in the political and economics condition of a country. If political or economics condition change, whether it lead toward the betterment or whether it lead toward the worsening, then this will affect the demand irrespective of changes in price. And number 8, no role of advertisement, because advertisement affect the demand highly. With advertisement, the product look more attractive to the consumer, hence leading to their increased quantity demand irrespective of price change. Hence, the effect of advertisement must be constant. It's mean no role of advertisement. Then the law of demand will be valid. Exception of the law of demand. Exception of the law of demand. Though as a rule when the prices of normal goods rise, the demand of them decreases, but there may be a few cases when the law may not operate. These cases are called exception of the law of demand. Following are the exception of law of demand, in which first is inferior or given goods. Some special varieties of inferior goods are termed given goods. Cheaper varieties of goods like low priced rice, low priced bread, etc. are some example of given goods. This exception was pointed out by Robert Giffen, who observed that when the prices of bread increases, the low paid British worker purchased a lesser quantity of bread, which is against the law of demand. Thus, in the case of given good, there is an indirect relationship between price and quantity demanded. It means that with the decrease in price, the demand of given goods or inferior goods may be increased, may be decreased. With the decrease in prices of given goods, the demand for them will be decreased. Number 2, prestige goods. Prestige goods, this exception is associated with the name of economist T. Wellman and his doctrine of the consumption. Number 2, prestige goods. There are certain commodities like diamond, sports car, etc., which are purchased as a mark of distinction in society. If the price of these goods rise, the demand for them may also rise instead of falling. Such type of goods are called prestige goods. Few goods are called prestige goods. The prices of these goods are so high that they are beyond the capacity of common people. The higher the price of diamond, the higher the prestige value of it. In this case, a consumer will buy less of the diamond at a low price because with the fall in price, its prestige value goes down. On the other hand, when the price of diamond increases, the prestige value goes up and therefore the quantity demanded of it will increase. Number 3, the commodity which are related with the basic necessities of life. In the case of basic necessities of life, such as flour, rice, salt, medicine, sugar, etc., the law of demand is not applicable as the demand for such necessary goods does not change with the rise or fall in price. The demand for them remain same or constant. The price does not affect the demand of basic necessities of life. Usually, the demand for basic necessities of life remain constant or inelastic. It means it does not accept the effects of changes in price because people do not increase or decrease their demand while increase or decrease in price. Number 4, increase in marginal utility. MU mean margin utility. It means that when the increase in marginal utility of any commodity, in such a case, the law of demand is not applicable. For a certain commodity, if its marginal utility increases with the consumption of every new unit of commodity, then the consumer is willing to pay more price for it. Number 5, price expectation. In case of price expectation, it means if people expect a further rise in the price of a particular commodity, they may buy more in spite of rise in price. The violation of the law in this case is only temporary, or it may be the fear of shortage. When people feel that a commodity is going to be scarce or short in the near future, they buy more of its quantity even if there is a current rise in price. For example, if people feel that there will be a shortage of rice in the market in the near future, they will buy more of it even if the price is high. And number 6, or the last point of exceptions of the law of demand, is ignorance. Ignorance means ignorance of the consumer. If the consumer is ignorant about the rise in the price of good, he may buy more at a higher prices or less at a low prices. He don't know about the benefit or loss of the commodity. So in such all these cases, the law of demand will not operate. These all are called the exception of the law of demand. So nice. So guys, the lecture of our today topic is now complete. Now we move toward the changes in demand. There are two types of changes in demand. Number one, rise and fall in demand. And number two, contraction and extension in demand. Rise and fall in demand. Number one, rise in demand. If mean it means that the price remains same and demand of any commodity increases. It is called rise in demand. It occurs when the price of commodity do not change and its demand increases. This is in case of assumption. It means the other factor which affect the demand change and they change the demand of commodity. Price remain the same. Other determinants rather than price are income of consumer, changes in population. The increase in population lead toward the increase in demand is called rise in demand. Weather or climate changes. When the weather change, it lead toward the rise in demand. For example, when winter start, the demand of warm cloth increases while price remain the same. That is called rise in demand. And so on. Fashion, habits of consumer, and money income of the consumer will also cause to rise the demand, and so on, so on, so on as the fall in demand. It means that while price remain constant and demand decreases. This is due to decrease in the other factor rather than price. For example, money income of consumer decreases, it lead toward the decrease in demand. And weather change, unfavorable weather will lead toward the change, it lead toward the fall in demand. For example, now summer turn into winter and the demand of cold drinks, ice cream will fall, will decrease, and that is called falling demand. It also means that it will be affected by the other determinant rather than price. Number two, contraction and extension in demand. Contraction and extension in demand. Extension in demand means the increase in demand due to decrease in price. And contraction in demand mean the demand decreases due to increase in price. Actually, the law of demand describe the extension and contraction in demand. It means demand increases or decreases due to only changes in price, and there is no other factor affecting the demand.